Hello, and welcome to this LinkedIn Live Takeda event. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get in and get settled, and we'll kick things off. As you're joining, I invite you to let us know where you're from, what area of the world you're joining us from today. We'll get started in 1 minute now. Awesome. This is amazing to see. Hi to everybody. Spain, India, Ecuador, Kenya, Mississippi, Germany. This is amazing. Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a fun group. I can already tell because you're already engaging with us here. Okay, 2 minutes past the hour. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, hi and welcome to our Takeda event here on LinkedIn Live. My name is Caroline Slomsky. I am the head of talent acquisition for our global manufacturing and supply and global quality business functions. I'm coming to you today from the Boston area, and I'm really excited to moderate today's session. I just love hearing about what we're doing to transform our business, and we're so lucky to be hearing today from leaders who are at the forefront of driving that change. I joined Takeda about 5.5 years ago, and I've seen the company change in so many amazing ways in that time. And I've been lucky to have the chance to change and learn and grow right along with it. We are a company committed to lifelong learning. And when you pair that with our focus on being future ready and our purpose of making an impact for patients everywhere, you get a career that's so fulfilling personally as well as professionally. For those less familiar with Takeda, we are a patient-focused, values-based, R&D-driven global biopharmaceutical company committed to bringing better health and a brighter future to people worldwide. And we have been successfully transforming our business with the latest in science and technology for more than 240 years. And it's all about our vision to discover and deliver life-transforming treatments guided by our commitment to patients, our people, and the planet. Today, you're going to hear from members of a team who are shaping Takeda for the future. We'll discuss digital transformation in the pharma industry and how you can be a part of it. But before I introduce our leaders, I want to get some quick ground rules for the event today. First, as you can see, we are live. So if the connection drops, slides are slow to load, we lose a panelist or a moderator, just hang in there and we'll be back as soon as we can. Secondly, I would really welcome your questions about the topics we're going to hear about digital careers at Takeda and how you can connect with us. To ask a question, enter it in the chat box, just as you're practicing now with entering in your location. I'll either ask our panelists, we have some Takeda colleagues who are there to answer in a chat, and we can also follow up with you all afterwards. Just remember, we can only discuss careers or career-related questions, so keep it on topic, and we look forward to hearing from you. Finally, today's sessions will be about an hour, all in all, including questions. If you can't join for the entire session, but would like to know more about digital careers at Takeda, do connect with us. You can find our jobs available at jobs.takeda.com or at within our talent community. We will add some links into the chat so you can engage from there. So let's go ahead and introduce our panelists for today's session. First up, we have Christian. Christian is the head of data, digital, and technology for our global manufacturing, supply, and global quality business functions. He's a strategic business and digital leader with more than 20 years of experience in digital transformation in the pharmaceutical industry. I know he is very passionate about people, culture, and driving value through data and technology. And we're very lucky to have him spearheading this function. Next up, we have Marco. As the head of strategy and operations, Marco takes care of the strategic planning for our data, digital, and technology function and is responsible for driving digital transformation activities that are focused on people and processes as part of the transformation. I will introduce Susan, the function's head of digital and data science. Susan is a digital and data executive with more than 15 years of experience in pharma. And under her direction, we have successfully achieved many previously unattainable goals, leveraging artificial intelligence, data, extended reality, and hyper-augmentation. And then in practicing our flexibility with this digital technology, our fourth panelist is Roseanne, who will be joining us back on screen in just a moment. She's our head of digital innovation and data science, focused on global quality. As she partners with the Global Quality Organization to define and accelerate the digital strategy roadmap. She joined Takeda in 2020, actually after more than 17 years in the financial services industry. So a great reminder that we are looking for bright ideas and experience across all industries, because now we're utilizing Roseanne's extensive experience in data strategy, analytics, and artificial intelligence to drive our transformation. So with all of that teed up, I want to go ahead and get to the real meat of the content here. And I'm going to start off, Christian, with you. Can you please share how is Takeda, how are we driving this digital agenda, specifically related to manufacturing, supply, and quality?
Thanks, Caroline. Happy to be here today with all of you attending here. And so how do we position actually digital in Takeda overall? I would say, firstly, digital is a top priority in Takeda. We believe that by placing data and digital in the center of our strategy in Takeda, we can make a huge difference to patients, people, and our planet. And those points, patient, people, planet, and digital, are actually four corporate imperatives that drive the agenda in Takeda. And we will talk a bit more about that during this next hour. Secondly, we have the required sponsorship and the right operating model in place. Our CEO and the Takeda executive team are actually driving a major corporate-wide digital transformation, and we are really thrilled to be part of that. We all believe that with fully embracing data and digital and leveraging AI to the fullest possible extent, we can make a huge difference. And to enable it, we changed actually the whole operating model in Takeda. IT as an organization, as you may know it, is no longer existing here. We are all end-to-end data digital technology organizations embedded in business functions and in business units. And those are supported by a central data digital technology group that is led by our Chief Data and Technology Officer, who's actually part of the Takeda executive team. Many changes actually happened to set us up for success. And let me tell you, our data and digital technology organization is in the lucky situation, and that's not happening too often, to experience business sponsorship at a level where we have never seen it before in our careers. And this is a pretty motivating environment for all of us. Thirdly, the point is around digital, we measure it. Progress with data, digital, and technology is actually measured against aspirational milestones of our 5 years strategic roadmap. And we measure the value we generate for the business with it. Last but not least, our digital strategy is fully embedded as part of a business transformation. We all recognize that driving a strong digital agenda is very crucial to keep up with the increasing complexity and competitive world of biopharmaceutical manufacturing. And in the manufacturing supply function and the global quality function, We launched a major transformation program now that will shape the future of our factories, the labs, and the whole supply network. Digital is simply one essential enabler of it. Caroline, I hope this helps everybody to understand a little better how we're positioning digital here in Takeda overall and also in our manufacturing organization.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christian. And thank you for emphasizing how critical of an imperative this is for us. Can you talk a little bit about how you expect this will transform the ways of working in manufacturing?
Yeah, okay, good. Just maybe giving some additional context about the organization. Here in Takeda, we have close to 30 manufacturing sites around the globe. We are roughly 18,000 people in this organization worldwide, working in the global manufacturing and supply function and in global quality. And as part of our digital transformation, we are moving towards a data-driven, highly automated, and AI-enabled organization. And you all probably experience it yourself. If you're part of such a transformation in a bigger organization, you need to navigate through quite some changes and challenges. While we transform over the next 5 to 10 years, we expect about 50 to 80% of all jobs that will change in a way that may be major in some areas, maybe a little bit smaller in others. But we expect that over time, we can automate also something like about 50% of all tasks. We will be able to analyze and drive insights from vast amounts of data from every stage of the manufacturing process, from raw materials to finished products, and across the whole supply chain. And here in Takeda, we actually progressed already quite a bit on that journey. We'll also see a significant increase of AI, and it's happening already today here in the organization to optimize processes and to augment and guide our people. This will move us step by step towards an organization using a prescriptive analytics approach that allows data-driven decisions with really high degree of confidence and accuracy. You can imagine over the next few years, our agenda that we drive will continuously change the data and digital ecosystem around us. And the people living in this ecosystem that is constantly changing will see a big opportunity and a great opportunity for growth and for innovation. And our goal is actually to help our employees embrace these changes and become champions of our digital transformation. We are investing in developing and upskilling our employees to make them really future ready in such an ecosystem. Actually, just half a year ago, we refreshed our digital strategy. And with our strategy, we are focusing now on a few digital themes that will help us to achieve our business aspirations. So, Caroline, I think that's a little bit how I see the world changing in the manufacturing space and the impact of digital we see in our environment.
Yeah, super exciting. I already saw a question come in around how we're using AI. So you've touched on that, and your emphasis around that accuracy is so critical when we're talking about patients' lives at stake. And even the reference to 50 to 80% of jobs changing is amazing, because it's just going to mean that we're all going to experience new opportunities, career building opportunities that we wouldn't have seen before. So thank you in advance for that. Marco, actually, I want to go over to you. And so we've heard Christian describe the agenda and ways of working. Can you tell us what that specific strategy looks like?
Yeah, and I think Christian gave a good introduction. And I think this illustration that we did a while ago is actually entailing the whole holistic strategy that we have that is focused around technology, people, and processes. And as you can see on the right upper corner is our North Star. And whatever we do is driven by the business aspirations we have in global manufacturing, supply chain, and global quality, and which is delivering medicines to our patients at highest possible quality at the right time at competitive costs. We also have quite high aspirations on the planet side, where we are leading, trying to lead in the industry to show the path to net zero carbon, and we have quite interesting targets in achieving that objectives. And now going into our 5 strategic teams, which Christian also briefly mentioned, and I will start on the left corner with the digital core. That's the first strategic team, and we really want to get rid of paper in our operations. So it's really end-to-end digital operations, maintenance, and labs. And this will actually generate the digital footprint that we can actually then drive further innovation. On the second side, the second digital team is about end-to-end connected data, which is represented by the digital tree, which is placed strategically also into the middle of the screen, because it's actually fueling the innovation across the organization. And with end-to-end connected data, we want to integrate all the sources, digital sources that we have out there, integrate all this data, contextualize it, and make it available to our users to drive innovation on top of that data sets. The third digital team is focused around utilizing this data. And here we have the workforce automation and AI, where we are driving many initiatives to improve our processes, make them more predictive, utilizing AI. I think Christian was briefly mentioning that as well. And we are also introducing different digital technologies like XR, which is mentioned here on the image. And then the last 2 digital teams are really focused on people and processes. On the left-hand side, we see digital fluency and adoption, which is leading to this main path. We really want to bring our people along on our journey, and we need to make sure that our people are having future-ready skills, that they are ready for the future digital world. And we also need to make sure that our technologies that we are actually deploying are also highly adopted, that we are providing feedback loop of what still needs to be improved, so that we can make more and more useful solutions for our workforce. On the last and not least important theme is around processes and ways of working. We call it digital acceleration. As you can see, we have a couple of terms mentioned there. We are talking about Scrum ways of working. We are talking about scalability, reusability, and value focus, because everything that we do needs to be scalable. It needs to be reusable across our network. And one nice example that we are actually putting in place is the technology marketplace, where we are actually putting all our products, services, and solutions in one place, so that users, when they have a specific business challenge, they can go there, find the solution, and replicate it to their specific setup. With that in mind, I would give it back to you, Caroline.
Yeah, amazing, Marco. Thank you. That scalability and reusability is so essential. I love even the reference to at the start, getting rid of paper ties directly into our planet pillar and some aggressive goals that our CEO has set for us, right?
We are definitely busy, yeah.
Yeah, you started to touch on some of these, and Susan, I'm going to turn it over to you now, because Marco's gone over the strategy and he started to mention some things like extended reality that I know that you and your team are working on. So tell us how you're bringing that strategy to life.
Yeah, my pleasure, Caroline. Thank you so much. And thanks for a great question. I've seen already questions coming in. Give me examples. I was like, yes, I will go there. Let me start with my favorite one, and I can see my colleagues smile already, which is pretty much virtual reality. I never thought as a gamer that I would ever be able to apply virtual reality in my job. Right. So let me give you a little bit of context. Not sure if you know how hard it is to work in a clean room. You're fully gowned with lots of layers. It physically hurts at your hairline because you're wrapped up like a Teletubby. And you're not allowed to make any faults. When you're entering the clean room, you also cannot move very fast because of risk of contamination. So the stress psychologically and physically is extremely high. And because of that, we've actually developed a fully fledged virtual reality training curriculum for our clean room operators, so that they have a safe space where they can actually practice and gown and actually get safer and safer. So it's not It's not only about making the process robust, which is important, it's also about getting the psychological safety for our team members over there. We scaled it across 15 sites, 8,000 trainings being done. We're using it for onboarding, for training, even for recruitment now. And very closely related to that is extended reality, augmented reality. So we're using 2 modules there. One module is for remote assistance. So we've all just came out of a pandemic, so I will not explain why we have to do that. And the other module we are using is step-by-step digital instructions. You're pretty much getting on your HoloLens, and then you're also following the augmented instructions that you actually see, which is great for operators. It's great to get the process robust, and it's also having a very positive effect on the productivity. And we have that in place for 18 sites, for 3 sites, even for GXP operations, and really nice example also how to apply technology in a GXP area. One thing that Marco has touched on before is the topic of data, and there's no way that you can escape the topic of data. It's very essential that you're addressing 4 challenges. You actually need to make sure that you have the data in the right place, that you actually make it accessible, that you're not overwhelming your users, and you're also making sure you have enough natives, people, so that you don't only have a technical group hidden somewhere, but you have really talented who's looking into that. And that's what we've been approaching with a data lake, with a data contextualization, prioritization of use cases, which we do make available in our marketplace, and with extensive training programs. And that had a very positive effect on further examples and data products. We have a digital twin. I think everybody has a digital twin in these days. It's an in-house developed solution. We call it PPM, Predictive Process Modeling. It's fully simulating and laying out a biopharmaceutical manufacturing process. We want actually to make sure that we can go into simulation models, optimize the process, but also reduce investigation time. We're also working with out-of-the-box tools, of course, like for real-time monitoring, to make sure we are capturing signs when things are not going regular in time. And I think number 5 on my list, my top 5 list of examples, is we're having a collaboration with the MIT University between Takeda. 3 years ago, we pitched 9 of the biggest problems that we had at Takeda to them. And one of the projects is actually tackling how can we do automated visual inspection for lyophilized products in sterile production. So I think it's very obvious. It's very important to inspect vials, is the vial okay, is the content okay? And that's a fully fledged program working with cloud environment, with the algorithms, with respective compliance framework, with innovative technology, and for sensors, but also with computer vision. So that's my top 5. It's hard to stop me, Caroline, I know that. But if you have further questions, I'm very happy to provide more details.
Absolutely. I will say I have gone through one of those virtual reality clean room training elements, and gosh, I could not believe how immediately stressed I was. I also do not appear to be qualified because I didn't pass the test. So it's amazing to just be able to bring those real examples into a practical use. So tell me, there's some really incredible initiatives that you've done. And what about the partnerships or collaborations that Takeda has with other organizations, be it large or small? How do we work with that to bring it to life?
It's actually the best part of our job because our partner network is super diverse. So the virtual reality example, for example, that was a startup from Austria we've been working with. Not a startup anymore, I have to say. The augmented reality piece is not a startup as well. It's actually Microsoft. It's one of the big ones, right? The same time, as I said, we have in-house developments, but we are also working with out-of-the-box vendors. And then the university collaborations, it's not only with the MIT, to be transparent here, it's also with ETHs in Zurich and other universities. So that makes the job really interesting. I also have to say kudos to our colleagues in legal and in procurement, because to actually address this partner network to maintain it, you need different processes so that they don't become cumbersome or hard for our partners. There's a difference between a university collaboration versus Microsoft versus startup. So I think there's a job being done very well on all sides. So you can see our legal and procurement colleagues are also with us on that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Now that we've heard a little bit from the manufacturing side, Roseanne, tell me about some of the work that you're doing in quality. How are we introducing new capabilities and technologies, and what sort of impact is that making?
Yes, of course. So one process where we are very carefully and responsibly incorporating AI, ML, and automation is with product complaints. So Takeda is committed to providing safe and effective quality products to our patients. However, on occasion, we do receive a complaint related to one of our products. So our current end-to-end process for handling a complaint involves a human at every step, from the moment the complaint is received to the moment that the complaint is closed. And we recently built a machine learning model that can accurately classify a complaint by risk level. And we're also looking into how we can leverage AI to churn through very large data sets to identify any trends that we're seeing, which is a large part of the investigation process. I think it's really important that complementing our colleagues with AI and automation tools ensures that our product complaints are monitored and addressed in a manner that actually fits with Takeda's values of patient trust, reputation, and business.
It's so important to make sure that our, response time is quick and thorough, right? When the needs of our patients come first. There must be so many different opportunities on how we can apply our technology and process. And how do you figure out where to start?
Yeah, determining where to start is definitely not as easy as it seems. We operate in a very highly regulated environment and globally, right, at scale. So we have different regulators everywhere. So take, for example, the product quality review, which is a mandatory annual report used to assess whether the drug product is consistently maintaining its expected quality and identify any improvements in our manufacturing process. We just started looking into how we can improve the way we assemble this report. There's many different business units and people that are involved in putting parts of this report together. So there's a lot of coordination that's currently required. Our first step was actually not technology. It was actually a design thinking workshop with colleagues from many different sites who came together to discuss the inefficiencies and then what the potential solutions can be. And it's still an evolving process. We know we can build automations very, very quickly, but we need consistency across our manufacturing sites. And we have over 30 manufacturing sites operating across the globe. So more importantly, for us, it's really, we need to keep our end users in mind as we try new ways of doing things. And at the same time, ensuring that we work towards our longer term vision of having a predominantly digitally enabled product quality review process.
Yeah, that's great. Aspects like design thinking, I think, are so important. We were touching on that actually in a team meeting just this morning in talent acquisition. So to a degree, it shows how much, the coaching of your team has helped to influence other areas of the business that, really making sure that we are adopting that human-centric, the right way to solve the challenge and not just coming sweeping in thinking that we know the answer, right? That's awesome. Let's start getting into a couple of other questions. There have been some amazing ones that come up to the chat. Actually, Christian, as we gather these, I do want to go back to you on one point, because you had indicated that 50 to 80% of all of our jobs at Takeda will change as a result of this. So tell us what it takes to transform our organization to achieve that mission, and touch on how we're going to be upskilling and reskilling the workforce and the role your team will play in helping to realize that.
Thanks, Caroline. And I think you bring up here probably the most challenging part of this whole thing, because if you talk about digital transformation, I think the people element is, for me, the most important part, to support and fully empower people on this journey. And when we talk about getting our workforce ready for it, yes, on one hand side, it's developing people, getting new skills, creating new learning opportunities, but on the other side, it's also changing some cultural aspects. And the good thing is here that organizational learning and change management is next to digital and automation, core enabler of our business transformation. This is embedded in this overall transformation for the global manufacturing, supply, and global quality organization. And doing the right thing for our people is in the center of that transformation. Without that, we simply wouldn't succeed. To be a bit more concrete there, as part of our efforts, we want to get year how roles change over the next years, and where we have skill gaps and where this needs to be filled, and where eventually complete new roles are required. We will use this to create a very comprehensive upskilling program. And this will cover a range of digital skills, from basic digital literacy to advanced technical skills. The program will be tailored to the specific needs of the organization and our employees, and includes a mix of online courses, classroom training, and most importantly, also on-the-job learning. You really need to get actively involved and get your hands dirty and learn. Providing access to digital tools and technologies is, especially in the manufacturing environment, on the shop floor, it matters a lot to enable shop floor workers to develop their skills in a practical and hands-on manner. And to encourage participation in our upskilling programs, we need to review our incentives and also recognition practices to really encourage people to take part of that journey. Also, actively creating development opportunities and talent exchanges will help us on this journey. And I mentioned actually culture. People need to be open for change, ready to let old ways of working really go. And we need to focus on some aspects to continue focusing on involving continuous learning and building curiosity and a culture that fosters collaboration and knowledge sharing. And ultimately, we have to measure the impact of all of that, be it through surveys, assessment, performance metrics. This can really help us identify the areas for improvements and further investments. So, and one last thing I want to mention today, driving a really strong agenda on diversity, equity, and inclusion will also make a difference in achieving our aspiration. And I want to use this week's International Women's Day also to honor and recognize the incredible achievements and contributions of women around the world. And I'm looking really forward to see our female talent also achieve their full potential.
Wonderful. It's so timely. Yeah, there's so much here, right? And I can only imagine if we wouldn't have been in business successfully for more than 240 years if we were still in that little stall in Osaka mixing up medicine, right? I can only imagine what our founding founders would have thought if we were using HoloLens technology and all of that to get this here. But that culture of change and that mindset to being open is so critical. And actually, we have a question from the audience. And Marco, I'm going to start with you, and then panelists, if there's another one who wants to chime in, because this is a little bit about follows in on this mindset. And you know, the question is that it's great to hear about digital being a mindset at Takeda and not just a business unit. How are we approaching the culture change, and are we facing any resistance? And what are we doing about that to help pull people through?
So it's funny that you're bringing the culture element. So I'm with Takeda for 3 years, and I think I would highlight one of the elements that makes Takeda really special is the culture, and it's a very collaborative environment. And I think we are working very closely on all levels to achieve our objectives. So I think that I will give one nice example when we are trying to shift from, let's say, traditional IT ways of working towards more like agile ways of working. Try, fail fast, learn from it, move on. And I think that in manufacturing, it's interesting to see that in manufacturing people are living by the Lean Six Sigma is also coming from that space. So I think it's very collaborative environment. I haven't experienced any cultural pushbacks and fights, but I think it's a difficult change, and I think we're just we need to work together to get to the final result.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly helps when we're all connected to the patient, right? It's really hard to look at change and know why it's grounded, right? And not see that it's in the best interest for being.
And definitely the purpose, maybe the purpose is also, you brought up a good point. I think that we are all driven by the purpose, and also Takeda, again, similar to culture elements. So we put patient first. The business is the last element that we take care of. And I think that's also in people's minds when we are driving any type of changes. We always need to think about that we are doing this for our patients.
Yeah, great. We have a question that came in around how, if you've never worked in pharma, how do you get around that requirement when seeking a position? And Roseanne, I'm going to ask you to chime in because this is your first time working in the pharmaceutical industry. It was also mine, coming from financial services, right? So how did you position yourself? And then also curious, what's the transition been like? What was a nice surprise? What was a, oh, wow, surprise? Something perhaps that you didn't expect? And how's it going?
Yeah, so I joined Takeda about 2.5 years ago, coming from a different industry, like you said, in financial services. So for one, I think what's really important is to show how your skills are transferable to another industry. Financial services is heavily regulated. The environment that we are in today in pharma, biotech is also heavily regulated. So it's really around leveraging what you already learned and how you can actually think about this, situations in much a similar way. Prior to joining Takeda, there were only a handful of people that I knew in pharma or biotech, and they all had like a pharmacist background or a PhD in research. And I, on the other hand, had none of that. So surely I thought I would have a hard time understanding the pharma lingo or even be accepted as an experienced professional. And what turned out to be correct was that it was indeed hundreds of new acronyms that I had to learn. So fortunately, we do have a crowdsourced dictionary internally that I can turn to find those terms. But what was surprising was that I actually didn't need to have the medical background at all. It was not required for me to do well at my job. I had some really great colleagues when I onboarded who had spent many years at Takeda, right? And they were incredibly open to helping me get acclimated. And over time, I've been able to upskill myself on the implications of different rare diseases, learn about the plasma donation process. I also, had the opportunity to go to a manufacturing site and do the whole gowning process. So then I can understand what it's like to be on site. And if you're fully gowned up, it's really hard to flip through paper. So that's why we need things like virtual reality and extended reality tools, because we need to be able to control, digital instructions with our eyes. And learning these processes, sitting with our colleagues, it's really about how we can collaborate together where are the skill sets that I bring in, and then also learning from them of like, they've been doing this manufacturing process for quite some time and learning from them what is it that they need and what we can do together to ensure that we still have quality products and create more effective and efficient processes.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And we're glad you made the switch, and definitely looking for that openness. And there's really something to be said too for those highly regulated industries. Really takes a level of creativity and imaginative thought.
Yes.
And it's kind of fun. I've always liked working in a regulated industry. It feels like it makes me have to be a better professional, right? So if you really want to put your skills to the test, come in where the FDA and other regulatory bodies are going to come and question your product of work. Susan, I'm actually going to come over to you for a minute because you've been in the pharma industry for a number of years here, specifically at Takeda for 15, but you've had a really interesting career path. So I'd love to hear about, how you've moved through the organization, and then, we've been talking about change, and how have you seen it evolve, but what's also stayed the same?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I never thought I would stay 15 years with a company. I started back in 2007 writing my university dissertation for economics for the medical department in Germany at the commercial side. So that was actually quite wild already. And they kept me afterwards in the medical department. I spent 2 years actually in the quality department, and coming back to all the questions from the chat. If Takeda can do something, Pharma something we can teach you. It's actually about all the special skills that matter. And I was actually lucky to be in that place. And I moved later on to the dark side of IT, the traditional IT, been leading programs, seeing various acquisitions, and actually also then I got a very great chance to move over to global manufacturing supply, greenfield-wise, to build up innovation. Innovation turned out to be digital. Digital turned out to be digital and data science, and here we are 15 years later, right? So I think there's 2 reasons why I'm still here and why I love to be here. One is because there has always been the necessary change, growing from a rather small pharmaceutical company, becoming a real global player. And the second thing, and that's very important for myself, is with all the changes we've seen, we've never compromised on our values. And that's something very awesome about Takeda. It's not only like a Sunday preach or whatever, we are walking the talk here. It is about the values. It is about the patients. And that is actually giving you the purpose, or at least the motivation. So when we are going, it's not only about applying data science, it's like we are doing that to improve our production processes, to make the patient actually getting the product faster in supply chain. So this is why I'm still here, and I truly say I enjoy it. It's never boring.
Is never boring. That is for sure. Marco, I want to come to you next. We've had a few questions come in about, automation, and, we talk about automation is everywhere. It's it's in every good manufacturing organization right now. And it seems like every company is now saying that they're a data company first or a digital company first. But, how is it different at Takeda? And what do you find particularly fulfilling and motivating that you haven't experienced before?
Yeah, I think everybody's trying to go into the same direction. That's really true. I would say one thing that is that makes us at Takeda very different than anyone else, and this is what I saw when I joined the company, is this management commitment. We are really running through the open doors here. So we are getting also new joiners on a regular basis, and I think that's one thing that people see it first, is that the amount of support we are getting to really drive that agenda. And it's not just us on data, digital, and technology side, but also business. Really, everybody wants to do this, and it starts at the top with Christoph, with Costa, going down to the TED level and so forth. That's number one. I would say number two, I would highlight definitely the culture. It's like very collaborative. We are all trying to strive towards the same objective. It's a lot of work, but I think that's again that's pushing us forward, this cultural aspect, and I think not many companies can be proud of that level of heritage, and also the right cultural approach to the change.
That's awesome. Perfect. Some more questions in from the audience around what is the organizational structure of digital and data science? So Christian, let me come to you on this. So are we a standalone organization? Is it embedded into its respective business units and functions? And if I can, there was another question too that I'm going to tie in that was asking about how we, so spoiler alert, how do we interact with the other data, digital, and technology teams in the other business units and functions to align?
Yeah, good question. And I think this is what I mentioned, being the right operating model here, because we made the big change from having a global IT organization in Takeda towards moving into, let's say, a setup that supports really our digital transformation in the right way. And that happened in a way that from this global IT organization, the business-facing parts for the business functions and the business units have been carved out and moved over into the business function and the business unit and brought together with already existing data and digital innovation groups in those functions and units. That means you will see now in business functions and in the business units combined new groups that were called then data, digital, and technology embedded in those functions and in those business units. That means that the whole purpose of that was also to give the business functions and the business units the full empowerment and accountability to drive their digital agenda at the speed they need, having all the budgets and resources available to drive progress. So that was the intention. What was still remaining in the center was a global data and digital technology group that is focusing on shared digital platforms that are used across Takeda, and their purpose is really to help the functions and the units to accelerate their journey. That means you will find everywhere now combined teams where, for example, in my organization here in data digital technology in global manufacturing quality, we have all teams set up in a way that they look end to end, but we have also a team looking specifically at data end to end and looking specifically also at innovation topics. We have also, just to answer the other question here, we have also data scientists in our group, but not only in our group. Those are also a little bit following a more distributed model that we focus with our data scientists on some of the more tricky global topics that have impact and scale across the organization. But there are also some other data scientists focusing on other work that sit actually also in the business. You see also that the lines between our function and the business get a bit more blurry, and the empowerment to engage into, I would say, distribution of work in the space of digital and data across the whole organization, which means democratization of data and digital capabilities will increase, and you see then the wider organization being also engaged in all those activities. I hope that answers a little bit the question how we are structuring our work and how this comes all together.
It does, and it definitely ties back to what Marco was saying about just the collaboration and the connected nature of our business. When you're all trying to solve for the patient, you can't work in silos, right?
Yeah, no, and by the way, the one thing to say, of course, there's a strong connect between R&D and commercial manufacturing. We have a close connect to the data, digital, and technology team in the R&D space, because there's a lot of commonalities, and we also want to ensure that we don't build the silos that you see in functions being disconnected. That the key to be successful is really to let data flow across the whole organization end to end, which is also well reflected in the data lake setup we have, where we collect data across the whole company, including external data, to also open up new opportunities to create value when you look across functions and business units. There's a strong push also for cross-function, cross-unit collaboration, although the teams are embedded in the functions and in the units themselves.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for that. And we had a question from Sam, acknowledging that what we're working on and achieved sounds impressive. So thanks for that. And asking about the top digital tech goals for the next 1 to 2 years and what competencies we would need to achieve them. So actually, Roseanne, let me start with you. We are hiring, and as we've indicated, even in this session, we have roles open today, and then there are going to be the roles for tomorrow. So can you tell me a little bit about what skills you're going to be looking for today and tomorrow, and the sorts of mindsets and behaviors as well? Because it's not just a hard skill, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I also saw another comment in the chat about people not being in the pharma industry. Do we still take talent from there? And the answer is yes. Myself is a good example, right? Spent more than 15 years in financial services before making the jump to pharma. So I think, there's a lot of roles open right now across the US as well as in Europe and Asia. I would say that definitely what we're looking for is a good combination of hard technical skills and soft skills. First and foremost, we're looking for people who are curious, have a passion for analytics, strong desire to roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, hands to keyboard, and just get things done. So yes, we're looking for the kind of, people that are going to be interested in machine learning. How can we build models, rapidly prototyping things, but also keeping in mind, like, how do we do this at a scalable level? And, what is the purpose? We always want to make sure that we keep everything that we do with a purpose in mind. So we're definitely looking for people that have hardcore tech skills, but at the same time, as Christian has said earlier about collaborating with different parts of the organization, we definitely need to work together here. So those are, some of the soft skills that we need as well, making sure that communicate effectively, as well as being able to participate in meetings and collaborate with other parts of the business unit. And I don't know, Susan, being my counterpart, you have anything you want to add?
Agree with everything what you've been saying. It's all about the combination. And I think it's very important that you can relate what Takeda does, that you relate with what we are doing for the patient, what are actually our goals. Because when you're doing like data analytics or whatever, you come up with results and you need to be comfortable and actually also to have the discussions with people on the shop floor saying, okay, I found an improvement of potential in spec. But nevertheless, there's a communication, there's a change aspect. So you need to be comfortable also, to live the analytics piece of that. Same time, and maybe as we all on this panel know that more, we all know that our job is maturing at an increasing speed, incredible speed, actually. So it's very important always to stay up to date, to be okay to learn. That when I compare where we are right now compared to 3 years ago, it's amazing. But also it means that as a data scientist, as a data analyst, also in the digital area, you need to be able actually also to keep up with the speed and be comfortable with it. Our area is changing very fast and we are learning every day.
Learning every day, absolutely. We're actually trying to adopt a lot of these same sort of methodologies into our talent acquisition practices too. Really to, it's part of what I love about Takeda is everybody's all in it together, and how can we all embrace and modernize and keep pushing our boundaries outside of our comfort zone so that we stay relevant, we stay new, and we learn from our mistakes too. Christian, I know we're getting very close to the top of the hour. First of all, I want to recognize the audience and give you a round of applause. You've been asking amazing questions. We are seeing some team members respond. We'll have captured all of this and we'll try and follow up with a lot of you as well. But Christian, what would you say to someone who has never considered working for Takeda?
It's really a good question. I think I could maybe summarize a lot which was already said during the past hour. And for those who are currently not working in the pharmaceutical industry, I think the biggest difference you may see is the impact you, your teams, and the company can have to patients' lives. I think that's a big difference. Your work has a real purpose, and you're very, very close to it. You may say, okay, but that's the same across the pharma companies out there. But what's really different with Takeda? And maybe I best share a few impressions when I joined Takeda 4 years ago. What I found here are very approachable Takeda executives. This starts really with our CEO and the whole Takeda executive team. Really very down-to-earth people, very pragmatic and extremely people-focused leaders. Takeda, as you heard, has already a 242 years history, and the patient focus was part of the Takeda genes already from the very, very beginning. It's so deeply rooted and lived by the company's culture. It's really very authentic, and it simply feels also very, very different than anywhere else. There are also very clear ways how we take decisions. We evaluate all decisions against PTRB. That means actually patient, trust, reputation, business, and in that order. We take decisions based on those priorities. I experienced sometimes decisions where it was really the right thing to do for the patient, but from a business perspective, it may not have been the first choice to do, but we did it because it was the right thing for the patient. I was also very impressed by seeing the long-term focus of the company and simply focusing on what's right for the future, not compromising for the short-term gain. And the culture here, as you already heard, is very supportive, collaborative, very people-focused. and people are really empowered. We take it very serious also with our planet and sustainability agenda, no compromises there, and we are continuously striving to be leading really in that space, understanding that there's simply only one planet for us. I talked already about the CEO-sponsored digital transformation, which makes really a very big difference when you work in a data, digital and technology organization. And we drive diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda at a level where we make constantly progress. And ultimately, I think one of the most important thing I would say, we have really great colleagues and have a lot of fun here.
Absolutely. Your team is high on that list of great colleagues and fun. This has been wonderful. I recognize we have a couple of minutes left, but I think for the most part, before we get right into something else, I'm going to say that we're going to capture again these questions. If you have not already done so, please register for our talent community. And if I can give a shout out to team members to put that link in. Again, it's a great way for us to just follow up with you if you want to have exploratory conversations. If you're trying to figure out, as I've seen some of the questions come through, where can your skills best fit at Takeda? Because sometimes it's not a one-to-one and everybody is a little unique, or maybe the role that you're looking for isn't posted today, but it's coming in a few months. We really want to hear from that. I saw a few questions about whether we're looking to bring women into leadership and if there are, age requirements. And, I really have to say, Takeda's culture is all inclusive. It takes every walk of life, every diverse team that we can build helps to make sure that we are coming up with a product that has never been seen before and that is going to deliver exactly what we need to the people who need us to do our best work. So if you have any questions, put your name into that talent community so we can follow up with you. I want to thank you for all of your engagement, and thank you also for all of the shout outs and accolades for the achievements that this team has done. Takeda is an amazing place to work. So I hope you all have wonderful days, mornings, evenings, afternoons. Panelists, thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us. And we might be coming back to you all soon and share some updates as we get further into our fiscal year with some of the latest transformations. So I hope you'll join us again and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.